You know, I was originally just gonna do a bunch of collection videos, for Talk Time, which I still might do. This may end up being a rant video, depending on how stupidly angry I get. Oh, by the way, there's a reason I have a fork and knife. I'm uh, I'm eating. But back to the conversation at hand. We're gonna have a discussion about anime. More specifically, the culture that surrounds it. Now, anime or animation is a or anime is or animation. I'm a dumbass. Is a Japanese form of animation. Uh, in sense similar to the idea of cartoons. Oh my god, I know, right? I just called it a cartoon. Please, weeaboos, get pissed at me. And super otakus who do nothing else. From technical translation, otaku means super fan. But it's also an insult. And the smart anime fan calls himself an otaku because it's a jab at that insult. And the dumb one calls himself an otaku because mainstream tells him to. Now, I'm going to sound like a hipster, and I'm completely fine with that. I liked anime before it was the hot new thing. I liked it when I was a kid, and it was still called cartoons in America. Funny thing about that back then, it looked vastly different. Hell, they revived Dragon Ball Z, and it sucks. I'm sorry, Vegeta sucks in it. Arguably the most badass of characters. Now, I have had discussions with Mao and Dust, and they have kind of all said the same thing, that being married to Bulma for a while would do that. And I think I could agree with him becoming the comic relief character and kind of dopey being married to Bulma, because that's her character. She whipped his ass in like zero point 0.5 seconds. But here's the big thing. Anime has seen a shift from what it was to this kind of mainstream that everything has to be moe and cutesy and have big boobs. You know, my favorite anime of all time is Tenchi Mayu. Fuck it, I can't pronounce the name because I'm bad with spelling. But it basically translates to useless Tenchi. At least that's what Mal told me. It is my favorite anime of all time. It's a harem series, which speaks to the fact that I love romance, comedy, and harem. And I have to say that, yes, I do enjoy the fan service animes. I do enjoy, you know, the animes with girls with giant boobs. They're good, and some of them have actually really good stories. Some each series or H series, whatever the hell you want to call them. So they are good and can be good. But I'm sick of people assuming that that's all anime is. Okay, Tenchi Muyo, Rurouni Kenshin, Gundam, what else? Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop, Inuyasha, series like this, they did not rely on girls with giant boobs and useless fan service to sell. Of course, even series that have characters like that in them can still have really good story. Series like well, not Lucky Star. Well, I guess to some extent Lucky Star, but not a lot. But series like uh, Soul Eater have useless kind of fan service characters who are actually kind of really badass and are there for fan service, but are still badass at it. There's other ones that elude me right now because I've got list. Uh, but I think there's been a shift. I think kind of that misconception has kind of gone away. I think that it's kind of looming away from the medium as a whole because I think people are starting to get it through their head that maybe that's not everything. Yeah, sure, sex sells. Boobs sell. Trust me, they sell. But that's not everything, and that people are looking into plot and development and story. And it's funny because there's a lot of manga artists who will tell you that some of the most interesting stories and animes that are being made right now aren't just Japanese, aren't just Korean, which is manga, which one was it? I know one of them was Chinese, one of them Korean. Wasn't that, it was American. And here's the fun fact. When they say anime, anime is not conclusive to a style. Anime is a form of animation from Japan. Manga is kind of conclusive with a style. It's basically a comic book. Manga is conclusive with a style. It has a certain feel to it and a certain style to it. Manga varies from comic books, which is why there are comic books in Japan that mirror American comic books, and there are books here in America that mirror Japanese comic books. Manga is a style of drawing. Uh, the difference is that someone who makes anime is called an animator. Someone who makes an animation is called an animator. There's really no difference. It's just animating the source material. It's like if someone makes a Superman cartoon or animation here in America, like let's Death of Superman, do Superman Doomsday, one of my favorite animated films of all time, from DC at the very least. So someone makes that. It's an animation. It's animated based off a comic book. Okay, their source material is Death of Superman. In Japan, someone takes the manga Tenchi Muyo, makes an anime out of it, or makes an animated series out of it, or an animated movie. They had a couple. The biggest difference there is that one was based off a comic book, which is a traditional styled four-colored paneled book, and one was based off of a manga, which is a traditional style of drawing that was led with series like Astro Boy and Temple of the White Lion, and refined over the years to have its own style, its own feel, and they're usually in black and white. There are some colored comics, and then you have series like One Punch Man, which is an amazing series, but it's gonna end up getting the fucking mainstream treatment like everything else, like fucking Sword Art Online and Attack on Titan, which Attack on Titan, meh, it was okay. Sword Art Online was pretty good, but that was based off of a novel series to begin with, so you can't really. It didn't get slammed around as hard because it had something. It had a fan base to start with of a really well written series, and then you have anime like a Cell World, which doesn't get enough praise, even though it's a really really good series. This mainstream audience that's kind of controlled the anime world for the last little while is falling out of power, which is a good thing. Because it's pissing me off. Listen, Attack on Titan, not a lot of TNA, if any. My favorite character in Anna, though, did have a pretty good looking Titan form, but that's mostly from the fact that I'm a sci-fi / fantasy junkie, and designs and stuff like that are very important to me. And the way my brain works is very, very different, I think, from, well, not, I wouldn't say normal people. I know my brain's weird, but, I think weird, but most people say that. It's because I know so much about art and drawing. I can't draw worth a damn myself, but I do know a lot about it. And a lot of my stuff comes from abstract. A lot of the stuff I draw comes from an abstract place. I notice things like designs and how characters look and how they're designed and how to balance efficiency with design and how to balance a style. And Anna had her Titan form was a very well designed style. It was very well designed, very done in the right way if you're going to do a female variant of something, or at least the Titans. Like, I think my biggest problem with Soul from Soul Eater was his design was shit. At least in my opinion, it didn't it. I don't like Scythes to begin with, so I've got some bias against that. Um, but I think it's kind of falling out of favor because people are kind of going, okay, listen, we love TNA, we love stuff like that, but what about the story? Well, what story? Who cares about the story? Tits. We care about the story. I was like, there was a certain point in history when comic books stopped being something that only kids could enjoy, and writers started realizing that their fan base is growing up, and kind of came to the realization that if you keep this fan base and you don't do what's mainstream, and you don't do what's popular, and you keep to your guns, and you keep to a style, people will remember it forever and gravitate towards it. That's what's happening with anime. We went through our mainstream craze. For comic books, that was the 90s. Everything had to be dark, everything had to be gritty, everything had to be death and destruction. I mean, for God's sakes, it's the years that birthed Venom and Carnage. Venom was a cannibalistic alien monster that sprouted from an idea that someone went, we need to redesign Spider-Man for the 90s and make him darker. And someone went, how about a black suit? And then they went, oh, that's cool. And then somewhere along the lines it went, it's an alien symbiote. Oh, that's kind of cool. How do we make it more darker and more disgusting? Oh, he's cannibalistic. He eats people's brains and shit like that. Wow, 90s. I mean, wow, 90s. I think animes went through that. But from what more and more is coming out, it seems like there's a shift. Ah. It's a bad idea to eat and film this. It seems like there's a shift. It seems like there's a push towards more story-driven stuff and more enjoyable stuff. That we're looking less at fan service and more at people are starting to go, okay, this character's got nice tits, but what do they do? Nothing else? That's kind of lame. I mean, they look cool. You know, we're starting to see less of this useless fan service character, and more of a fan service characters that are starting to become more useful and more, you know, less just, oh, they've got big tits and they stand in the background and their clothes get ripped, and more of, they've got big tits, their clothes get ripped, and they kick major ass. Probably more so than the male characters in the series. And let's get real, fan service is mostly geared towards men, but there is the yaoi fandom, which I am a part of, that, you know, it's kind of geared towards women. And at the end of the day, the mainstream, the people who call themselves otakus but only watch anything that's on Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, only that and nothing else, you know, I mean, good lord, you know, there's more anime on Netflix than just fucking Bleach and Naruto. Bleach and Naruto on Netflix? I know Bleach was at one time and Naruto was, but I don't know. I'm not saying I don't like Naruto. I like Naruto as a series. I like Bleach sometimes. But there's more series out there who have more interesting stories and more interesting animations and more interesting characters. I'm just gonna say it. Ichigo sucks as a main character. Like, let's get real. The main character of the series should have been Rukia. Ichigo's story should have ended after he saved Rukia from the Soul Society, and he should have just been a side character for the rest of the freaking series. I mean, the funny thing is, though, Bleach, when it started out, was really, really good. Problem is it started off in a time where we had our stupid 90s of anime, essentially, where it was the dark and gritty, but inverse. Everything has to be cute with big boobs and moe and kawaii and all that other bullshit. And it's like, sometimes I just want to watch a series where someone just kicks ass. Like, someone punches some shit and kicks ass. One Punch Man. Again, I really hope it does not get that fucking fanatical treatment that people like to do to things. And that's nothing new. It happened with Dragon Ball Z. The point is, anime is making good leaps forward, but it's also making bad leaps backwards. The fans of the older stuff that sucked don't want to let go. They want it to stay where it is. Listen, and you know what? One of the greatest animators of my time, of any time, ever, was Miyazaki. Don't ask me to pronounce his first name. I know I should be able to, but I can't. I'm really bad with stuff like that. I'm kind of dyslexic, so stuff like that's a little bit harder for me. I think it was Hideo Miyazaki, somewhere in that range. I'm sorry. Studio Ghibli, one of the greatest animation studios and one of the greatest animators ever, has stated that the reason the anime industry is failing is because it's made up of people who don't understand people. So how can you expect to animate people, to write stories about people when you don't understand people? And I think that's very much true. I think very much we're living in a society, or at least for anime, it's very much we're probably about to go to a crash, similar to the idea of video games, where the people who are making it have no idea why they're making it, who they're making it for, and don't understand the basis of character creation, who just create bland cookie cutter characters that are exactly the same as other cookie cutter characters we've had, and slap a new design on them, put some tits on the girl next to them, and go, okay, fight this thing. Hell, villains are becoming the main characters of stories now, and you know why that's interesting? You know why that's cool? Because they've got development, they've got character, they've got story. A Devil is a Part-Timer is kind of a dumb romantic-esque comedy series, but the main character is essentially the main villain of another world who was supposed to be killed, and one of the side characters is the hero that was supposed to kill him, and she's basically the romantic interest, but his character is way more interesting than any other main characters, and he's essentially the main villain of the series. I mean, he's also the main hero, but, you know, it's a funky series to go with. I mean, One Punch Man very much kind of makes fun of this, where our main character, One Punch Man, is kind of really, really bland and overpowered. But he's done in such a good way where you actually kind of like him. He's refreshing, because he realizes he's bland. He's being a hero not because he has to or he's thrusted into it, but just because it's his hobby. He just wants to help people and make that sale down at the market for eggs. And if he can make a little extra money on the side, sure, why not? You know, arguably there are characters around him with way more on the line and are fighting for way more important things, but what makes him so interesting is he's just kind of there. He's bland in the good way. He's not some guy who's completely lacking character but is burdened with purpose. He ain't burdened with shit. He could care less. He'd go home, take a nap, cook dinner, watch TV, play a video game. read a book, go to the movies or something. Go drinking with friends, get on the internet. He'd rather do shit like that. He's being a hero because it's his hobby. He can help people. Which is interesting. It's refreshing. It's a nice change of pace compared to, well, characters like Ichigo, who are just kind of given or thrusted upon them was main character, and now it's such an important thing that he has to do this, he has to do that, but his personality never changes, he never changes, for God's sake. He literally goes through a time. I'm not going to rant about that. The point is I think anime is very much changing from what it was. That we're very much going through this era now where animes that are nothing but fan service and animes that are full of bland, hopeless characters are kind of being weeded out and kind of being taken away. And we're returning to a style similar to characters like and series like Rurouni Kenshin or Tenchi or Outlaw Star. What else? Astro Boy. Astro Boy is one of my favorite things ever. He's one of my favorite characters ever. I love Astro Boy. Him by the White Lion was good. Not great, but good. It's not my thing that much. I did enjoy it, though. I enjoyed Lion King more, but essentially, since they're the same thing, one's just American and one's just Japanese. Me. Lawsuits, ho! Back to the point. The point is, we're kind of seeing it fall out of favor, and the reason why it's falling out of favor is because people are sick of it. It's rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. They want characters that are interesting. Everyone enjoys, from time to time, a character that is the everyman. But how many animes or mangas have you read or seen where the main character is just, I don't want to do this, I just want a peaceful life? We're sick of it. It's to the point where we want characters that enjoy what they're doing. We want characters that are there for more than, I just have to save the princess and then we're going to live a peaceful life. We want characters, we want Mario. And here's what I mean. Luigi's the one in love with Peach. Oh my god, I know, you couldn't figure it out. Luigi's the one in love with Peach. Mario's just there because he likes the adventure. He just likes running around. He loves being in this world. He's fantasized, about this. He just loves running around at the speed of sound. Wait a minute, that's Sonic. He loves, running around, going on adventures. He's saving Peach because that's his brother's girlfriend / wife. Girl he's in love with. And he cares about his brother. But he's mostly there for the adventure. And I could go into more lore and technical theories and shit like that, but that's kind of less theory and more confirmed by Nintendo and creators and all blah blah blah, all the writers and shit. That's something that's kind of been more confirmed by them, not straight out, oh yeah, that's how it is, but more hinted at and confirmed than anything. We want more Marios and less Luigi's. And I love Luigi. And you know what? That's not fair to say, because Luigi actually likes the adventure too. We want more Mario. We want more characters who are happy with what they're doing. That's why characters, Sword Art Online works so well, because the character was a character we hadn't seen in a while, where he didn't like what he was doing, but he wasn't running around going, I just want to live a peaceful life. He wanted to be a part of this game. He wanted to be a part of this. And at a certain point, he enjoyed what he was doing. He had fun with it. We want more characters that do that. We want more characters that are having fun in their situation. So I think there's a shift happening. There definitely is. Where it goes, we'll never really know, but there is a shift.
Alright, let's move.
Oh, that ghost witch is just so hard to see.
Oh, I can heal you.
You gonna heal me?
Stop squirming, I'm gonna heal you.
Thanks, Captain Bill!
Ah! Whew.
Captain Bill, you
The
the
station's
shit,
just up the
son.
street.
You the
This
shit.
way.
Hey, homie. Bye, homie. It's up the street, huh? Okay, that's where we headed. Okay. Yes. Yes. Get scissor bladed, son. Boom, boom, boom. I'm Spider-Man using a machine gun. Your argument is invalid. Oh, damn it. Why does Shia have